As we hopefully near the end of the COVID pandemic, Americans have been faced with another one returning. According to CNN, the United States has reported at least 45 mass shootings in the past month. So I want you all just to think about that number, 45. That's on average more than one mass shooting every single day. Just this past Thursday night, 8 people were shot and killed at an Indianapolis FedEx facility by a 19-year-old former employee. In addressing what happened in Indianapolis, President Biden said, "We can and must do more to reduce gun violence and save lives." But ladies, I just want to get your feelings on seeing this new normal returning, and if you're hoping for any meaningful change, because guys, we just can't continue to live this way. I don't know how you're feeling, but we need change.
This will never be normal. This will never be normal. I don't want it to be normal. The one thing during the pandemic I did think about is the fact that there weren't any shootings during the time where everybody was quarantined and in the house. And now it seems like every other week or every week there's something going on. And it just, right, every day. And it's just, it's mind-blowing and mind-shattering. I feel like I now walk into, let's say I go into a supermarket, I look around. I used to walk in just carefree. Where am I going? Produce, cereal aisle, whatever. But now I actually think and I pay attention. I actually look at what people are doing. I just don't walk in blindly. And when I go to the supermarket with my kids, one of the things that I used to love doing, giving them a little bit of independence, if they wanted to go to the cereal aisle or go in the chip aisle, and they would run off and get their thing and come back. And I feel like I don't want them doing that anymore. I really want us all together, because you never know. And the fact that I have to think about that, just this weekend, Jade had basketball, which I'm glad that's back. But we went to Big Five to get him some stuff, and behind the register were these guns. And when I saw the rifles, it was like $350, $389. And for that amount of money, somebody can go and wreak havoc and destroy families and people's lives. So it will never be normal for me, and we just have to figure out, what do we do to stop this madness? Because that's exactly what it is.
That's living in fear, Garcelle. That's literally living in fear. When you walk into a restaurant, into a store, for me, I don't think I'll ever go to movie theaters ever again. I know it sounds, I really have been dealing with like anxiety and fear when it comes to these kinds of things. I mean, we literally just finished a pandemic, and it goes from one thing to another. I saw a meme that literally said like, oh great, now that we have, indoor seating again, now we'll have a mass shooting. Like, it literally feels like we go from one thing to another.
Adrienne, you're absolutely right, and along with millions of Americans that are experiencing a heightened level of anxiety amongst all the things that are going on with Black Lives Matter and hate crimes against Asians, and then now, I mean, just this, the pandemic is still ended. It's crazy, and no matter what political party you're from, no matter if you own a gun or not, 45 mass shootings in America by March is absolutely a problem, and it's something that the government needs to address. When we talk about solutions, I really do think, because I really do think that the banning of assault weapons is a start. I'm not saying it'll solve it completely, but I do think it's a start. And I also think banning high-capacity magazines is a huge start to just decrease the number of fatalities when a shooter aims to kill. It is insane to me that people can buy an insane, absurd amount that nobody needs for bearing the right to have arms. Like, you don't need these amounts that are clearly meant to go out there and reap an attack on somebody. And at least if somebody has to, if you think a shooter has to constantly reload in order to do the damage they want to do, that allows a bystander, it allows authorities to at least come in and intervene. So I think banning that is a start. And I also am sick and tired of hearing these constant stories at the end where you have family members, community members, students that were friends with the shooters that say, yeah, that person was a little off. They were a little weird. Or yeah, they used to like to love showing off pictures of their gun collection on Facebook all the time. Like, you always hear the stories afterwards, and then you get frustrated with these parents that have these kids in the house where you know that something is off and something's wrong, but you didn't do anything to prevent it. So there is a talk about red flag laws, and I think that that's absolutely a start, because a red flag law would allow family members or law enforcement to enlist an extreme risk protection order, which makes you have to, it takes away your guns. It takes away any materials that you have to actually shoot and do a mass shooting, because for the time being, if you don't seem mentally there, you shouldn't be owning weapons.
Right.
Exactly.
And if you see something,
100%.
say something. If you see something,
Yes,
say something.
please.
One time I had a history teacher, and he said the purpose of government is two things: to build roads and bridges and keep us from killing each other. Until we vote in people that believe in banning AR-15s, they're never going to really be banned, and that's that's what's happening right now. The Biden administration, they do have some gun violence proposals that they're trying to push. One of the things that got my attention was the American Jobs Plan. It's a proposed $5 billion investment to support community violence intervention programs, which for this, like, for example, this FedEx guy, he was probably part-time, which means he didn't have health care. This type of program would provide services for people that are working these part-time jobs that get stressed. But not only is it just the government's responsibility, but it's also our responsibility. And I think we have to check ourselves culturally. Right now, there are three things that's hurting this country. It's gun violence, it's police misconduct, and it's racial inequality. We're not treating each other right. What we try to do on this show is we try to expose it. We're trying to give you solutions. We're trying to say, hey, you know, this is what happens when we do it. From the Asian hate violence to, you know, black men being mistreated to just everyday things. We have to work on it as a country. And it comes from our television. It comes from what we're saying to our kids. We all have to take a step back and say, what are we doing to make us a better country? So hopefully we'll keep talking about this. We'll keep showing solutions. The Biden administration is helping, but until we keep voting in people that want to keep us safe and want to ban those assault weapons, is not take away your guns, but actually there's no need to have those type of weapons
Out there. You're right.
We're still going to have
They don't
this.
need to be out
Still
there.
going to have this.
Lonnie,
And
it
the mental
breaks
health
my
is
heart.
important.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Lonnie, it breaks my heart because I feel like as a country, I feel like culturally there's so much ego involved in a lot of the issues that we're dealing with. When it comes to how we handled COVID, where it was like ego said, I can't put a mask on. I'm bigger than the virus. I'm bigger than a mask. I'm bigger than what, you know, Dr. Fauci and every other specialist and doctor is saying. I'm bigger than that. So the ego got involved there. And then when it comes to guns, it's like, no, well, all these people are dying, but I want to still carry my gun. It's ego. It's ego driven, and I feel like it's become a part of American culture to feel like we are above, you know, lives. We are above innocent lives. We are above health, and like, and that to me is so heartbreaking. I feel like at this point we are the land of the fear and the home of the guns. Like, we need to do better as a people. We need to do
And no other
We're not
country is having
united. We're
problems.
not united.
No one else is
At
having
all.
these
We're
problems.
We're not united.
We're too divided
Everyone
right
else
now.
got
We
through
have to come
COVID.
together.
Everyone else got through COVID easier. No one else is having these mass shootings. We got to put our egos aside and do what's right for one another. That's it.
Yep.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Amen.